What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to ARP in the morning. It's your man Wise, and I appreciate you guys pulling up. As always, man, we got 105 people kicking things off, man. Make sure you guys hit that like button for me if you haven't done so already, man. And first things first, man. Let's show a little love to folks in the chat. I want to give a big shout out to True Texan, first in the chat this morning at 8:20 a.m. Shout out to you, brother, man. Appreciate you pulling up. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. And before I go down the list, man, I also want to show some love to Big Job 4. Happy birthday to you, man. God bless you. Wish you many more. Appreciate you pulling up always, keeping things live in the chat. Thank you very much, man. God bless you. Wishing you many more. Many, many more. Shout out to Christy. What's going on with you, sister? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Thea's Flies High out of Roscoe, New York. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. What's going on, Redefined Queen? How you doing this morning? PK Krillin, Savannah, Tennessee in the building. What's going on with you? What up, Zephyr? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. Thank you very much for doing what you do, keeping things civil in the chat. What up, Larry Montgomery, Nevada City in the building. What's going on, Lori? How you doing this morning? What up, Ken? Gladwin, Michigan in the building. What up, Donald Lovejoy? How you doing this morning? Colorado in the house. What up, Scott Young? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Thank you very much. Mary Ann, how you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. Distorted One, appreciate you pulling up. He says, hopped on to say hi and have a good stream. Wise, I don't have internet and my cell service is spotty at best. Understood, but I definitely appreciate you, just saying what's up this morning, man. Thank you very much. What up, Buddha? How you doing this morning? West Sand Lake, New York in the building. What up, Delinda? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. Appreciate you pulling up. LJ Taylor, how you doing this morning? Good morning to you, sister. Appreciate you pulling up. Brian Ian. Now, y'all make sure y'all show Big Job Ford some love in the chat, man. It's his birthday today. He turned 30. Show him some love. Or is it 21? He finally got that, gonna be able to go get him a drink or something today. Show him some love in the chat, please. Y'all make sure y'all do that. What up, Scott 8T8? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Milwaukee in the building. Steve Edminster. Appreciate you pulling up. Buffalo in the house. JJ O'Hara. What up? North Carolina in the building. Gina King in the building. What up, Quincy James? How you doing this morning? Yeah, you in the chat early today. You in here early today. Okay. I see you. Appreciate you pulling up. What's up, Baby Lungs? How you doing this morning? Billy W. How you doing this morning? Appreciate you. Linda Smith. Appreciate you pulling up. A-Town in the house. Appreciate you pulling up. Shelby, Lynn, Alabama in the building. Appreciate you pulling up. Shout out to Steve with the $10 super sticker to get things kicked off, man. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. God bless you. I appreciate you, man. Thank you very much. What up, Lyndon? How you doing this morning? Leonardo, San Diego in the building. What's going on with you, brother? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Bloody Spear, 619. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. What up, Shannon Hawkins? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. Yes. Quincy said, don't forget to hit that daggone like button. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button for me. Josh Sutton, what's going on? Appreciate you pulling up. Waterloo, Illinois in the house. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. What up, Amber Young, NorCal in the building. Appreciate you pulling up. What up, Pat? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. What's up, Gilbert? How y'all doing? Southern California in the building. We got North Cal, Southern Cal. Appreciate you pulling up. Caldwell, appreciate you pulling up this morning. What up, Kevin? How you doing this morning? Ontario in the building. Appreciate you pulling up. Thank you very much. What up, Jennifer? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. All right, Josh Sutton. What up, Mark? How you doing, man? Cashville in the building. Volunteer fan. All right. What's up, Jodobo? Hopefully I'm pronouncing that properly. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. What's up, Josephine? How you doing this morning? Watching from Houston. Appreciate you pulling up. FMS 129, Palm Springs, California in the house. What's going on? Maria Torres, how you doing? Tulsa, Oklahoma in the building. What's happening? Kathy McGinnis, appreciate you pulling up this morning. Thank you very much. Kerr, hopefully I'm pronouncing that properly. Appreciate you pulling up. Maverick 1, Pat Keenan, or Keenahan, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Beaumont, California in the house. Appreciate you pulling up. The Real Don Dada, Bad News VA in the building. Hampton Roads area in the house. What's going on with you, brother? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Krista Knight, Raleigh, North Cat in the building. Appreciate you pulling up. Shannon Hawkins says she still feels 30. I feel 30 every now and again. I feel 30 every now and again. What's up, Leslie? We got Ohio in the house. What's up, Marie News? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. Thank you very much. Jerome, Texas in the building. My Light Gray Cottage. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Thank you very much. What up, Eric Smith, DC in the building. EU is willing to go 0 for 0 on tariffs. Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about that today. We got to get into it. We got to talk about it. What up, C Tizzle? Appreciate you pulling up. How about them Gators? Yeah, they pulled it off, man. They pulled it off. Anybody that's a Florida Gator fan, man, congratulations to you. I ain't gonna lie to you. I did not watch the game. I don't know why they put those games on at 9 something in the morning or in the evening. Like folks ain't got jobs and ain't got stuff to do. I don't know why they do that. But shout out to all the Florida Gator fans out there, man. Congratulations on a NCAA men's national championship win. I will say this, Jadobo, can I send you some chicken adobe? Is that for me or is that for Big Job Ford? It is his birthday. I am a huge fan of chicken adobo. Huge fan of chicken adobo. And the lumpia. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Hey, that's the way to a man's heart right there is through food, man. My wife does a really good job. She did outstanding job yesterday. Made some homemade tomato soup with some grilled cheese sandwiches, things of that nature, man. Phenomenal. Phenomenal. But yeah, I like chicken adobo. But I am also a really big lumpia fan. I love me some lumpia. Goodness gracious. Delicious. Delicious. All right, man. We got a great show today. Oh, Eric, that's what I'm sipping on right now, man. I'm sipping on my 10 mushroom coffee right now. I am a fan. Hey, Quincy, I am from the South, bro. I am from the South. The dirt. Yes, I eat oxtails. We just had oxtails maybe a week ago. Them things expensive, man. They used to be really cheap, man. They done jack the price up on the oxtails, man. Oh, yeah, I'm a big oxtail fan. My wife loves oxtails as well. She does a great job. My wife's a great cook, period. She's a great cook. And, yeah, I'm a big fan of oxtails. We actually had oxtails that was Christmas dinner as well. I grew up down south, man. Oxtails, neck bones, you name it. I grew up going to the store and you got that big container of pig feet and also pickled eggs. Now, I'm not a pig feet fan. I know a lot of country folks love some daggone pig feet. I'm not a pig feet fan, but the pickled eggs, but I grew up in places like that, man. I grew up in places when you go to the store, you see that big jar of the pickled feet, of the pickled pig feet. Big jar. LJ Taylor says, where is the rest of the ox? You know what, LJ? Although they call it oxtails, it's actually just cowtails. I don't know why and who came up with the name oxtails. I guess it just sounds better. But I guess it sounds better to say oxtails opposed to cowtails. But it's really just the tail of a cow. That's really what it is. That's really what it is. Oh, Maverick, don't sit here and act. You don't like pig feet? Man, I know a lot of country folk love some daggone pig feet. Love pig feet, man. They'll eat the pig from the rooter to the tutor. Now, I'm not one of them. But I know a lot of country folk, man. I grew up in places like that, man. You go into the store, you see that big jar. It's like this big around, big jar of pickled pig feet. And people go in there and grab some pickled pig feet, man, and be walking down the street chewing on a daggone pig foot. They also had the pickled eggs in there as well. The pickled eggs is pretty good. But pickled pig feet, Christy said no to the pickled pig feet, but yes to the pickled egg. I'm the same way. I'm not a big pickled pig feet. I'm not a pig feet fan at all. But the pickled eggs, yeah, good. I like pickled eggs. You got to be country. Hey, the baby lunch here, I've never tried any of this. You got to be country, man. Those country places down south, man, that, and the best spots, man, is the hole in the walls. The place that look like it's about to fall over. you blow on it and it's gonna fall over, that's the best place to go. That's the best place. The real Don Dada, I grew up in the South. I grew up in the South with country folk, and they eat pig everything. Now, I would say from the time I was in high school, probably upwards through, I don't know, to late 20s, I didn't eat pork at all. Zero. No pork at all. No bacon, no none of that. As I've gotten a little older, once I got married, man, my wife starts cooking. I do eat a little bit. We still don't eat that much, but if I do, it's either like pulled pork or ribs, because I think pork ribs are a little better than beef ribs. But even then, that's sparingly and few and far between. Few and far between. Chadrick says, tell him wise, crackers and hog head cheese. We know somebody country. We got some country folks up in here. Thank you, Chadrick. What up, Regina? How you doing this morning? Regina says, hillbilly country folks, sound off in the comment section. Originally West Texan, we eat rattlesnake stew. Oh, man. Hey, country folks, man. Country folks eat good. Now, Baby Lynn says she'll eat some sauerkraut. See, I'm not a big sauerkraut fan. My wife loves sauerkraut. I'm not a big sauerkraut fan. But I'm not a big sauerkraut fan. Now, Vanessa, now you talking my language right there. We don't have Waffle Houses in my general area up here in Maryland. You got to go either west or you got to go further east to get Waffle House. But when I go home to Georgia, that is one of the spots I have to go. I have to go and get some Waffle House when I go home. Yeah, man. You guys, some of you guys, man, y'all may not know what y'all missing, man. Your country folks over here, man. Oh, yeah. Now, I'm a big mac and cheese fan, but you can't eat everybody's mac and cheese. We try, but you can't eat everybody's mac and cheese, man. You just can't. You can't. My light gray cottage says, I'm from Georgia, and the pickled eggs were next to the beef jerky. Yeah. And typically, you'd see the jerky, you'd see the pickled eggs, and the pickled pig feet. They all in a big old jar, right there. But y'all got the food started. I know everybody had to chime in on the food, but yeah, I'm I like to eat. I definitely like to eat, and I like good food. And I grew up down south, man, and country folks, that's the thing, man. Country folks love to eat, love to cook, and love to eat. That is the truth. Couldn't go over my grandma's house without a cake, pie, something. As soon as you get over there. But let's get the show started, man. Make sure you guys hit that like button for me if you haven't done so already. If you'd like to support the channel in another way, obviously joining the ARP family, or you can buy your man a coffee. That link is in the description box below. Super chats will stop the show. Super thanks will stop the show. Anybody that joins the ARP family during this live stream, that will stop the show. They will be acknowledged. Anybody that gives a ARP family membership, that will stop the show. That will be acknowledged as well. All right. So let's get things kicked off.
They go into effect today. What do you think about the Trump tariffs?
Doesn't affect me.
Why not?
I'm pro-Trump, but don't affect me.
Well, what do you think about it? Tell me your opinion on how he's going about it. What do you think?
Dominance, baby. Greatest country in the world.
They go into effect today. What do you think about the Trump tariffs?
He's right, man. He's right. Now, I know, this is a topic, that we've, hit pretty hard over the last week. We've had to talk about it, a multitude of times for good reason. We've had to. We're witnessing one of the most significant economic shakeups in recent memory, and the global firestorm that it sparked, it's impossible to ignore. So we got to continue to have this conversation. We got to continue to talk about it. Markets worldwide were on high alert going into Monday. Wall Street, I mean, they were tense, foreign economies on shaky ground. And a lot of people may or may not know why, but the why is it's because for the first time in decades, America has finally decided to push back on trade, and the world just wasn't ready for it. Analysts were in panic mode, talking about market chaos and financial free fall, even, throwing around terms like, economic nuclear winter and another Black Monday. It's not business as usual anymore. And these people are scared to death. They're scared to death.
Doesn't try to reach out and reward these countries and companies that play by the rules in the 1987 scenario, the one where we went down 3 days and then down 22% on Monday, has the most cogency. We will not have to wait out too long, will we? We'll know by Monday. Fortunately, we had an excellent set of employment numbers today. At least it makes it less likely a crash will necessarily lead to a recession. But if President Trump stays intransigent and does nothing to ameliorate the damage that I saw these last 2 days, I'm not going to be constructive here. I will contain my anger, but only because I lived through 87, and in the end, I came out okay. I was in cash for the crash. I know what this feels like. Oh, and if Europe moves against our fabulous tech companies next week, then I will be furious. That I promise you, because it should not happen.
Now, I'm going to say this. Anything that this dude Kramer says, you should probably do the opposite. He is always wrong. I've never seen a guy make more money being wrong. Whatever he tells you to do, you should probably do the opposite. Dude's always wrong. That's just my opinion. But if any of you guys know about this Kramer fella, hey, you know what I'm talking about. Shout out to Pete for the $4.99 super chat. Says, I'm still waiting for Trump to give us truckers overtime pay. I'm still waiting for Trump to give us truck drivers overtime pay. Give overtime pay or no overtime, no tax on the overtime. I think that was the plan. The plan is to not tax overtime. I believe that was the plan. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that was put into the spending bill. But, this stuff takes time. It takes time to, kind of filter down. So none of this stuff, I don't think it's a situation where you just flip a switch and, it automatically happens. But I think that's what you meant, right? And if you didn't, clarify that for me. But I believe you're talking about the, no tax on tips and no tax on the overtime. But if I'm off on that, let me know in the chat. So, but again, when it comes to Kramer, man, I honestly believe, man, you should probably do the opposite of what this guy says. Seriously. He's always wrong, man. Always. Dude's always wrong. So yesterday, I don't know how much of you guys follow the market, things of that nature, but the NASDAQ actually closed higher. But that didn't stop the panic. And it wasn't just Jim Cramer sounding the alarm. Over on MSDNC, the commentary was in full meltdown mode. They were practically unraveling over the tariff situation, warning that the U.S. is losing credibility, that investor confidence is evaporating, and no one's going to invest. That's what they said. That's the narrative. No one's going to invest in the largest, most robust economy in the world. Everybody makes money here. Everybody makes money here. I got to say it again. Everybody makes money here. Most of these businesses make large portions of their revenue right here in the United States. They just not going to do business in the States and lose out on that money because no one else is buying their goods like that. These people, their narrative, I mean, is doom around the daggone corner. That's their narrative. Now, is it panic or, is the pushback just a new playbook for these guys? It's just a new play in their playbook? Which one is it? All right, Pete says, no truck drivers get overtime pay. You owe time and a half. I don't understand what that means. So are you saying that there's no overtime pay? Do they get time and a half? I don't really understand what that means. But we'll keep it moving.
To bring in NBC's Yamiche Alcindor, who covers the White House for us. Brendan Buck was an aide to Republican speakers John Boehner and Paul Ryan, as well as an MSNBC political analyst. The host of MSNBC's The 11th Hour, Stephanie Ruhle, joins me here on set, along with Catherine Rampell, opinion columnist at The Washington Post, and soon-to-be co-host of the evening edition of The Weekend here on MSNBC. Okay, Catherine, I mentioned this. Markets were actually up for a little while today when there was this report there might be a pause in tariffs. Where do things stand now? What's going on?
Markets are so jumpy because investors are looking for any sort of sign that maybe there's going to be an off-ramp, maybe Trump will back down. And so far, we're not seeing it. But when there's the slightest rumor of Trump deciding maybe he'll pause the tariffs, or at least some of his own advisors urging him to pause the tariffs, markets are latching on to that and sort of wish casting, in my view, hoping that he will avoid that nuclear winter, that economic nuclear winter that we've been warned about.
And that is different than investing in the U.S. What Catherine is talking about are people who own stocks, investors trying to figure out, is there a sign of goodness? Do I sell? Do I buy? What do I do with my position? And the thing about owning a stock, you can buy it and sell it, and it basically costs you nothing. That's different from making an investment. And what I'm talking about is when Howard Lutnick or Peter Navarro says manufacturing is coming back, businesses are going to be building out these factories. We just heard it from the Treasury Secretary yesterday. You have all these federal workers that are going to need jobs. Great. What are they going to go do? Sew socks in a factory? That factory is not getting built. There's not one major corporation out there that is going to make a multi-billion-dollar long-term commitment, and their board is certainly not signing off on it when we're living in a world. Who did he speak to first? Was it Scott Bessent? Was it Peter Navarro? Were they smiling? Does he like them? Does he love them? The fact that that's where we are in, and it's let Trump be Trump, maybe that's going to work in the short term for playing the market, which it's obviously not. But when we're talking about the United States being a long-term trading partner and a superpower, we're losing trust by the minute. You gain trust in droplets, you lose it in buckets, and we're losing it in buckets on top of buckets on top of buckets.
Yeah, there's
Now, who believes that these women know anything about the stock market, know anything about economics? Who believes it? Shout out to Vanessa Hall for the $9.99 super chat. Bless you and your family. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. God bless you as well. Thank you. Who believes that these people know anything other than what they've been told to say? That's the new buzzword right now. You know, economic, what do they call it? Economic nuclear winter. That's the new buzzword that they've been given by their Democrat handlers. That's the new buzzword right there. Economic nuclear winter. That's the new buzzword. No one was talking this when inflation was up 29% over the past 4 years. People have been losing jobs dating back to 2021. We had three quarters of negative growth of GDP, which basically put us in a recession after 2 of those quarters. People losing jobs like crazy. Companies laying off like crazy. Now, all of a sudden, you know, the stock market, all of a sudden, you know, maybe is, you know, may be being affected. And these people are acting like it's the end of the world. No one has a solution. Everybody's talking trash, but no one actually has a better solution. We talked about this yesterday. But everybody's got something to say, but no one actually has a better solution on how we're going to increase revenue and stop getting robbed by all these other nations around the country, around the world. Seriously. So you got people like these people, you know, saying that, and I'm going to be nice and just say these people, saying that we're losing trust. Talking to foolishness that no one's going to invest in America. Really? No one's going to invest in America. Really? Tell that to Taiwan. Tell that to Taiwan. They just committed $100 billion to build chip factories, in Arizona. Tell that to SoftBank. Japan SoftBank, they pledged another $100 billion. This time for AI and infrastructure. Tell that to South Korea. South Korea, you know, Hyundai, however you pronounce it. Some people say Hyundai, others say it's Hyundai. They're dropping $20 billion into U.S. manufacturing. No one's betting big. You guys realize that there was a deal on the table from South Korea, a Hyundai company, to build a steel plant and a manufacturing plant out there in Louisiana that had been sitting on the table for 5 years. The Biden-Harris administration wanted nothing to do with it. It's been sitting on the table for 5 years. They wanted to build in Louisiana. Shout out to True Texan for the $2 super chat. Folks, please vote in 26 and for JD in 28. I'm with you, True Texan. People need to understand that the midterm is important. Special elections are important, but the midterm is important. Next year is going to be extremely important. It is. So these folks, they got to know. The other thing, what people aren't talking about, have you noticed that Mercedes isn't talking about these daggone tariffs? You know why? Because Mercedes is doing business in Atlanta. They have a really large manufacturing plant down there in Atlanta, hiring a bunch of people, and in Alabama. In Alabama, they're employing a ton of people down there in Alabama. A lot of your GLAs and GLCs and I believe a number of your electronic vehicles, or what do you call those things? Electric vehicles. Those things are being manufactured in America, in Alabama right now. You don't notice Mercedes isn't talking about this. Shout out to Big Job Ford for the $19.99 super chat. My birthday gift to ARP fam. Man, it's your birthday, man. Thank you. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for supporting the channel. God bless you, brother. And happy birthday to you once again, man. Wishing you many, many, many more. Thank you, man, for supporting the channel. I mean, these companies, they clearly didn't get the memo that business is closed in America. They didn't get that memo. We've seen hundreds of billions in pledges since Trump took office. And guess what? That's not all. That's not all. There is more to come.
Well, the commercial break happened, and now the Dow is in a little bit of a positive territory. So a little bit of volatility as people price in some of the discussions this morning, as the White House says over 50 countries have contacted the White House looking to negotiate or at least discuss tariffs, and then the president having that meeting with Netanyahu today at 2 o'clock, a press conference at 2:30 during Sandra's show.
Yeah, and the president put out a statement that he had just gotten off the phone with the Japanese prime minister, that they were having productive conversations, and now just hitting, which seems to be when the markets turned around here, was that the EU is talking with the United States amid this tariff battle. And the statement from the EU is, we are ready to discuss with the U.S., but solutions need to be mutual advantage. So what you're getting is the sense that they're coming to the table.
Communications.
The negotiations are happening.
Sure.
And that's when we saw the turnarounds, the Dow at 526 for now.
Okay, there we go.
Look at that. It wasn't what they thought. Honestly, I don't know what I was going to say thought. It's not what they wanted. They wanted a full meltdown in the markets yesterday, and they didn't get it. Shout out to Ed Maher. Appreciate you pulling up. What up, Tootie Bug? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Let me make sure I didn't miss somebody. There was somebody I wanted to say what's up to. What up, RJ Hudson? How you doing this morning, brother? Appreciate you pulling up. What's up, Dion? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. So let's take a quick step back real fast. A quick step back and notice who's panicking. You guys realize who's panicking right now? It's not the average American. It's not the average American. It's not. Again, we talked about this yesterday. The top 1% has 88% of their bread in the stock market. The top 1%. The top 1% owns 88% of the daggone stock market. The bottom 12% is everybody else. Now, yes, there are some people whose money is tied to the market via their 401k. But the average American don't just have money in the stock market like that. And those that did, they took that money out 3-4 years ago to pay bills, to buy groceries, Let's just keep it a buck. The people that had a little bit of extra money, they took that money out because they needed it. So the people that are panicking, it's the people that have been benefiting from the market being propped up over the past 4 or 5 years. And Eric Smith, you're absolutely right. I want to put this up here. Give me a second. Where are you at? You're absolutely right. People should know 401ks go up and down all the time anyway. And the thing is, you can't touch the bread anyway, because if you do, you're penalized like crazy. So if you're not planning to retire today, it shouldn't be a concern to you. But again, have you noticed who's panicking? Have you noticed who's panicking? Because it is not the average American that is panicking. Heck, most of us are like, man, the market's down. I need to buy something. Whatever little shekels I do have, let me buy something. With the little bit of shekels I have. It's not the welder out in Ohio. It's not the single mom stretching her dollar at Aldi. It's not the young couple scraping by, just to get that first down payment on a home. Those aren't the ones losing their minds over this situation. Those aren't the ones. The ones that are losing their mind are the quote unquote professional class, the hedge fund elites with the beachfront estates, the media pundits with wine cellars and book deals, talking about saving democracy or exposing Joe Biden, even though they told us for 4 years that the dude was sharp as a tack. It's the corporate execs who made billions shipping American jobs to countries that can't stand us. They're the ones melting down on cable news, crying about the market instability. While working class Americans are asking the only question that really matters, is this going to help us in the long run? And more and more and more, the answer is becoming a clear yes. And here's why. Over 50 countries have already reached out to the Trump team to negotiate exemptions from tariffs. Let me say that again. Over 50 countries have already reached out. They're part of China's Belt and Road Initiative, a global scheme designed to expand Beijing's economic grip. So when Trump hits them with blanket tariffs, he's not just poking China, he's challenging their entire trading network. I mean, it's bold, it's strategic, and it's exactly the kind of disruption he was elected to deliver. He's not just shaking the table, man. This man comes in and flips the daggone table over. And that's what 70 plus million people voted for. We voted for change. We didn't vote for more of the same. We voted for somebody to come in and shake it up. Because the way things have been going, it ain't working for us regular folks. Oh, it's working big time for the elites. It's working big time for the top 1%. But for those of us regular working class people trying to make it and hoping that before we die, we can leave a little something for our kids or for our grandkids, the way the system has been set up, it hadn't been working for them. For the young people that just graduated college, that's trying to get a job, trying to get out on their own, trying to get their first place, it has not been working for them. But yet these people want to keep business as usual and keep things the same. Salzilla, a lot of people's savings is gone. A lot of people's savings are gone. Again, a lot of the people that did have a little bit of money in the market, because let's just keep it a buck, during the first Trump administration, a lot of people had money, people had savings, people wasn't in credit card debt up the daggone wazoo. And then throughout the Biden administration, all of that money that you had stacked up, a lot of people had to spend it. And they needed it not for want stuff, but for need stuff. Let's just keep it a buck, man.
Virtually every country wants to negotiate. If I didn't do what I did over the last couple of weeks, you wouldn't have anybody wants to negotiate. We would have gone to these countries, you want to talk? And they were, well, we don't want to talk. Now they're coming to us. They're offering things like even Bibi, and this is unrelated because it's a different kind of a relationship. But he started off our conversation today that he's cutting all of the tariffs. He's cutting everything. He's going to get down to a free base. He's going to do things that, in all fairness, other countries, if they said that, would have never even thought about doing it. Now they're offering things to us that we would have never even thought of asking them for because they're experiencing a lot of hurt. And the hurt is that they've taken advantage of us and we finally fought back. Tariffs will make this country very rich. We're rich anyway, but we're rich in a certain way. We have $36 trillion in debt. I want to get rid of it. And we can do it quickly with proper deals. So when countries don't allow us to sell our product, but we allow them to sell their product, when they charge us massive amounts of money for the privilege of going into their country, those days are over.
Yeah. And honestly, it should be over. It should have been over. We talked about this last week. Going back or dating back to 2001, we've lost over 3 million jobs to China. Dating back to 2001. You guys may not realize it, but China at that time, they were paying people 50 cents an hour. 50 cents an hour. Can't compete with that. Even now, the folks have gotten a raise, but on the lower end of that, these people are making 70 cents an hour. 70 cents an hour. You got companies like Nike that can get a shoe that costs $22 to make, and they turn around and sell it to you for $200. Yes, D. Actually, I think the number was 3.2 million jobs lost to China. So countries are coming to the table because they have to. Some of you guys may not know this, but Rolls-Royce, and people think of Rolls-Royce and they think about the luxury vehicles. That's not their number one moneymaker. Rolls-Royce, number one moneymaker is their engines that they build for planes. I don't know if you guys knew this, but Rolls-Royce, number one moneymaker is the plane engines. They build engines for planes. For the United States, it's 1/3 of their revenue. It's 1/3 of their revenue. Come on now. So yes, countries are coming back to the table. They have to. I'm sure some of you guys probably didn't know that. This is a big deal, man. It's a very big deal because if you think about it, you got nations from the China's Belt and the Road Network like Sri Lanka, Ethiopia, begging for a break. And that's not just pressure on Beijing. It's also proof that the United States is calling the shots again. We're calling the shots again. We are back in control. In the end, I believe that this will be a major victory. I said this a couple of days ago, maybe last week in the live stream. I am going to put my money on President Trump. I'm just going to, I believe in him that much when it comes to this and economic and business and things of that nature. I'm going to put my money on him. If it fails, it fails. But I don't hear anybody coming up with the solution from the other side. I hear a lot of complaining. But I don't hear anybody coming to the table with another solution. I just don't. Have any of you guys in the chat, have y'all seen anybody from the other side come up with any solution that doesn't require taking more money from you. I'm just saying. It's all about leverage, man. It's all about leverage. These countries are negotiating because finally, shout out to Renee Suzanne gifting 10 ARP family memberships. Thank you very much, Renee. Thank you. You are a blessing. Thank you very much. Make sure y'all hit that like button for me if you haven't done so. But for real, these countries are negotiating because finally they have to. Not because they want to, because they have to. They can't afford to sit this one out. They can afford to not do business with the United States of America when companies like Rolls-Royce receives a third of their profit and revenue from our nation. Last time I checked, businesses aren't in the business of losing a third of their revenue. You lose a third of your revenue for your business, you're talking about massive layoffs. You're talking about chopping and cutting up folks. You're talking about your stock price dropping. Stock price is going to drop tremendously. So these companies and these countries who make a ton of money right here in the good old USA, this is the largest, most robust economy in the world. Everybody's getting money here. Even the quote unquote Americans that say they hate America, when they leave, they get money here. When they leave, this is where they choose to get money at. Y'all know I'm telling the truth. Now, in reference to this situation right here, Trump, he's not just poking China. He's making its allies rethink their loyalties. You either gonna do business and be loyal to us or them. You got to make a choice. And then you have the economic upside. The White House reported that tariffs slash China imports or Chinese imports. You know, it boosted American production when that happened. The tariffs slashed the Chinese imports and it boosted American production. So what does that mean? It helped to keep inflation low. It also meant that means that more American products being sold. And if you're making more money, that means that you want to hire more people. We're making stuff here in America. We're making stuff here in America, not overseas. Again, that means jobs, that means factories, that means the dollar circulating or in and around the United States. That's what that means. Even the European Union, who at first they were ready to hit back hard, ended up rethinking the plan. They were set to slap tariffs on U.S. imports, saying that, you know, they target up to 28 billion in goods, if not more. If not more. And Ursula von der Leyen, she told the European Parliament just last week that they had a strong plan to retaliate, eyeing sectors like semiconductors and timber. And then just yesterday, they pivoted. Just yesterday, they pivoted. Well, Hobo Nation, I do agree with you. I think there should be some talk and some fear when it comes to the BRICS nations. But if you notice, the BRICS nations really started to take off during the Biden administration because we basically had no leadership. We basically had no leadership.
We stand ready to negotiate with the United States. Indeed, we have offered 0 for 0 tariffs for industrial goods, as we have successfully done with many other trading partners, because Europe is always ready for a good deal. So we keep it on the table. But we are also prepared to respond through countermeasures and defend our interests.
So you hear that? So there's other nations that they go 0 for 0 with, but the country that you sell most of your goods in outside of your own nation, y'all hadn't decided to come to the table just out of the kindness of your hearts. to offer something along those lines? Seriously? Out of the kindness of their hearts, they couldn't just come and say, you know what, we've been taking advantage of y'all for the better part of 2 or 3 decades. You know what? Let's make some change here. Now we'll say this, man. It's still a little too early to celebrate. It is. It's still a little too early to celebrate. But there were way too many meltdowns online over the weekend when the truth is Trump usually does something unorthodox. Everyone panics, and then it ends up working, and everyone moves on to the next big thing, and the legacy media won't come back and say, hey, we didn't think it was going to work, but it actually worked. They don't even believe in giving Trump credit, or how we used to say back in the day, give the man his props when he implements something that actually works. They're only interested in discussing things that don't work. If it works, they'll move on to look for something else that they can complain about. The media, the media sucks, man. Legacy media sucks. And that's why nobody's taking them seriously anymore. I mean, these people, they scoffed at the tariffs, mocked the charts and accused Trump of using random numbers. But this isn't chaos for the sake of chaos. It's strategic. And the confusion, the uncertainty, the pressure, I mean, it's all part of the plan. Or at least I hope so anyway. Again, I'm willing to bet on President Trump. I mean, he does have a dog in this fight. I mean, he's married. He's got a young son. He's got multiple grandchildren. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he might actually have some grandchildren. So, in my mind, I couldn't see him wanting to freaking tank the nation. But again, like I said earlier, and like I've been saying, who is the individual on the other side that has come to the table with a solution? Who has said what President Trump is trying to do, it's not going to work, here's why, and this is what we should do? Who's done that? We've heard a lot of complaining. We've heard a lot of grandstanding. You had Cory Booker out there talk about nothing for 25 hours. But I haven't heard a better plan or a solution. I just haven't. And we're watching President Trump negotiate from a point of strength. And contrary to, all the doomsday predictions, we're not seeing massive inflation. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Again, we're not seeing massive inflation. What we're seeing is the opposite. Oil prices are falling. Gas is getting cheaper. Interest rates are dropping, and the bond market is booming right now. The economy isn't collapsing. It's rebalancing. And we've been due for a correction. And the funny part is, yesterday, the market, it started to bounce back on a rumor. Yes, a rumor that Trump might pause the tariffs for 90 days. It started to bounce back off of a rumor, but that's typically how the markets work. It's a lot of rumors and innuendo.
Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, on the phone just a short time. Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, on the phone just a short time ago, and she tells me it is, quote unquote, fake news that the White House is considering a 90-day pause. So the White House pouring cold water on this idea, wherever it came from, that they're considering a 90-day pause on tariffs, saying that the president is committed to his tariff regime, and any reports that he's considering a 90-day pause are, quote, fake news. That from the White House press secretary on the record just a short time ago to me on the cell phone here as we try to sort through where this came from and why it is that the market became convinced that might be a possibility. The White House saying it is not a possibility, Carl.
Fake news. Why would CNBC and Reuters, seriously, why would they, I think it was, why would they report this? Why? Journalism in this nation has gone down the daggone drain, man. It has gone down the drain. The journalists in this country suck. I don't even know if we can call them journalists anymore, man. Seriously. The market bounced back on a rumor, which just goes to show you how fragile and emotionally driven the markets are. That's what it really shows you. It just shows you how fragile and emotional that, emotionally driven that these markets are. It just does. It also proves something else. The money's not lost. It's not gone. It didn't vanish into thin air. It just moved into bonds, into safe havens temporarily. And if the tariffs end with even a few favorable trade deals, the market will roar right back with a vengeance. Everybody knows this. The problem is elites don't want to wait. They want their comfort now. And honestly, I'm also one of those kind of people that believe that a lot of these elitists, a lot of these people. What's up, April Chapman? How you doing today, sister? Appreciate you pulling up. I watch you all the time. I like your channel. I like what you do over there. But I'm almost a firm believer that these elitists, they don't want to see regular people win. They don't want to see the Americans win. Working class Americans, middle class Americans. They don't want to see us win. I'm almost convinced that that is the case. They truly want a situation like what it is in a lot of other nations out there, have and have nots. They want a subservient class. I'm convinced, man. I am convinced that that is the case. So let's contrast that with real people here, working people. The folks that the media pretends to speak for, but constantly ignores. And like I said before, gas prices are down. Oil is down. Food prices are starting to cool. It's starting to come down. Mortgage rates are starting to decline. It's happening. And guess what? Those are the things that matter to the average American. Not whether a hedge fund's quarterly return dips by a percentage point. Not whether the Dow drops from 500 points to 40, for 48 hours. The average American, honestly, probably don't know what the Dow is. Let's just keep it a buck. The average American probably doesn't know what the Dow is. Barely knows what the S&P 500 is. The real problem is this, man. The U.S. has been getting played for years. Countries manipulate their currencies, subsidize their exports, block U.S. goods with bogus regulations and exploit cheap labor. And meanwhile, we've let it all slide. We got a lot of these politicians out there that basically have sold us out. They fattened their wallets. They've built their quote unquote generational wealth. And they've done it by selling out regular working middle class Americans. So they've turned a blind eye. They've been willing to, just let this thing rock. And the people, the working class, the middle class, we like what we're seeing. We like it. According to a Daily Mail poll, Trump's approval rating is up. And not just overall, he's gaining support among independents, Democrats, and even young people. There was a story that came out, a couple of weeks back where young men, Gen Z and younger, man, they're a lot of these dudes, man, they're marching full speed towards the conservative side of things because there's not even a place for them on the left. They're getting a chance to see it They're seeing it in school, they're in college, and they're being told how evil they are, how toxic your masculinity is. So they're rejecting all of that that's coming from over there. It's happening. You got a media out there, you know, the same, you know, Gen Z, you know, cohort that the media insist in telling us that they're just radically progressive. They're starting to realize economic nationalism. They're realizing that that might just serve their future better than globalist platitudes. And the working class, I mean, their take is a bit different from those of the coastal elites. Their take's a bit different than the coastal elites out there. You know, you got to see it for yourself. Give me a second.
After it, the endorsement, and I just wanted people to know, steel workers for Trump, I want people to know that all the steel workers in the Mon Valley are for President Trump.
So, Glenn, I'm curious, typically union workers in your industry, we know them to endorse Democrats. Why Donald Trump this go around?
Well, historically, we've all been Democrats. A couple of us up here are third-generation steelworkers. And we had a trade case years ago that our ex-international president, Tom Conway, was fighting against the Chinese for illegal dumping. And when President Trump stepped in and he imposed those tariffs on the Chinese, I firmly believe that he saved the steel industry, not only in our country, but the Mon Valley, where many of us have lived for close to 30 years.
Andy, how about you? Why are you supporting Trump?
Well, number one is to protect the jobs in our valley. I'm a third-generation steel worker. I've been through those layoffs. It's not fun. I've seen 3 mills shut down in the valley in the 80s. We have 3 mills left in the valley. I don't want to see those shut down. And he made a firm commitment when I asked him with a handshake, Mr. President, after the election, will you do what you can to keep our Mon Valley viable in the steel industry? He gripped my hand and confirmed to me through that handshake that he says, I will do that.
And there you have it. There you have it right there. There you have it right there. The goal is simple. Fair trade. Not just zero tariffs, but no more backdoor cheating. No more stealing intellectual property. No more blocking U.S. farmers and manufacturers. Just fairness. Just fairness. And while the media wants you to think that this is reckless, that it's hurting the economy, what we're really seeing is this. We're seeing a move away from countries that never wanted to negotiate in good faith with us anyway. And as Kevin O'Leary put it, this is a behemoth of a negotiation. That's what this is. And again, I keep saying this, man. The American people, regular working class, middle class Americans asked for this. This is what we asked for. This is what we voted for.
Start on these tariffs. The market is on track right now for its worst weekly performance since March of 2020. How do you continue to be an advocate for these tariffs, given the sell-off we're seeing, given that I have had every source on our show this morning say that these tariffs will be causing a recession in the United States?
They don't know that yet. They don't know how long the tariff's going to be on. We've never done this before. We've never taken on the entire globe. Usually it's done in trade agreements with specific countries, such as NAFTA, which was Canada and Mexico, or a European Union situation. This is unique, over 60 countries. Now, there's two aspects to these tariffs. Number one is reciprocality against tariffs from one country to another based on products and services that are specific. So if you're charging a 20% tariff in India, it's going to be reciprocated in the United States. And those go away pretty quickly. That actually leads to fair trade. The more complex aspect of these negotiations are around the idea of trade imbalances. And so when you put on tariffs to try and fix trade imbalance, it's difficult because the largest economy on earth is the United States. So really you're starting a behemoth negotiation, and it's happening in every country. You highlighted Canada, but you might as well talk about Britain or even Switzerland, where I am right now, where they have over 30% tariffs imposed 48 hours ago. And so you can assume that behind the scenes are two spheres of negotiations. One is, let's try and reduce the imbalance of trade by buying more stuff from the United States. That's one signal. And the other, which is very easy to fix, is simply remove all tariffs. If you're going to have reciprocal tariffs at 20%, 30%, 40%, just get rid of them, bring them down to zero.
But Kevin, as of this morning, with the 34% retaliatory tariff from China to the United States, we are not getting closer to free trade. We are just getting further into a trade war.
No, China's a whole different story. This isn't about trade war with China. This is about leveling the playing field on a wide range of issues, including IP law, access to business, access to courts, being compliant with U.S. regulations on securities. There is a laundry list of grievances with China that have been around since they joined the WTO, and none of the administrations previously have ever dealt with China.
So why are tariffs the right way?
Dealt with for the first time. So this has nothing to do with just tariffs. I mean, right now I can't litigate.
But that's the tool that the administration is using. Why are tariffs the correct tool if, to your point, these have nothing to do with tariffs?
What tool do you suggest they do when nothing else has worked?
I'm not the president. It's not my job.
Well, exactly. So let him do his work. China's different than all the other countries.
But it's not
China
working,
has to be dealt with. Look, I'm having lots of problems with China, as are millions of other companies in the United States that try to do business there. They do not play by the rules. They're going to have to start doing it pretty soon. That's a different conversation. You want to talk about the markets correcting? Yes, they are. By the way, markets correct every 18 months up to 20%. You're watching it happen right now. It's not pleasant. You can't blame just the tariffs for this. These have been very expensive markets now for almost 18 months. Now they're having a correction. I think what matters is this a recession signal, yes or no? And how long will these tariffs be on? I would say 50% of these tariffs across these 60 countries will be negotiated pretty quickly, including the Canadian situation you made details on.
Oh, okay. That's hard to watch, man. It's hard to watch. And these tariffs have only been, implemented. We hadn't even been a full week yet. And they're like, oh, it's not working. It's not working. Like, what's not working? You got to allow things to kind of play out before you say it's not working. I mean, golly, man. It's hard to watch sometimes, when they just always interject. But good on Kevin for spreading the facts to those who refuse to listen. Now, I'm sure she's interviewing not to really understand and to learn from Kevin. She's interviewing based off of whatever her handlers told her to do. And I would assume that she has somebody in her ear that tells her, interject him now because he's making too much sense. Oh, this is when you stop him because he's making too much sense. Again, they don't want the American people to actually learn anything. They don't have any interest in that. They just need you to, they want you to listen to their propaganda and fully soak it in and believe them. I suspect that these people know that this will work in the long run. I suspect it. So they have to try and shoot it down, within moments, of it starting so it doesn't get a chance to succeed. That's what this is. And the crazy thing is that when she came out and she said, what did she say? Oh, no one else has another idea, which is something that I've been talking about. And she was like, I don't have an idea. That's the president's job. Well, he was like, hey, this is the idea. Let him do it. Oh my gosh, man. And like I said, man, like Kevin said, as we've been talking about this is a much needed negotiation. And the market is correcting, and it's been due for market correction. This happens every 18 to 24 months. It does. And honestly, it's a good thing. It's probably a good thing in the long run. And the thing is that this strategy is already bearing fruit. Countries are offering to drop the trade barriers that they've kept up for decades. That right there in itself is progress, and the American people are taking note. And again, no one else on the other side seems to have a solution. And this lady said it out of her own mouth. I don't have a solution. That's not my job. That's the president's job. Well, shut the heck up and let him do his job. Because last time I checked, you don't hear anything coming from anybody else. You don't hear a solution to this issue coming from anybody else. And honestly, people should be asking, why didn't Obama do this? They should be asking, why didn't Bush do this? Why didn't Biden do this? Why did it take Trump to finally stand up and say enough is enough? Why? They've been robbing us for decades. They've been taking advantage of us for decades. And no one decided to do anything. And this brings me to my next story. We're hour and 9 minutes in. We're on story 2. Brings me to my next story. One of the most unexpected dinners, to hit the political scene in a while. I'm sure you guys have heard of it. We got to talk about it real fast. But Bill Maher, Kid Rock, Dana White, President Trump sat down together at the White House. And according to Kid Rock, the evening, it went smoother than anyone anticipated. According to Kid Rock. Check this out.
And any scenario that's walked away without saying, like, wow, what a great guy. He's so funny, so engaging. He's so smart. And absolutely, Bill even said to me, after that, he goes, wow, that was, everybody's mind was kind of blown. Even the president's, I think, because the president called me late night last night. And, everyone was a little suspect about going into this. And even the president kind of alerted to me a little bit like, what do you got me doing? Right. And I go, man, we're just trying to show people that, even though we've been pretty hard on each other, that when you get face to face, maybe we could have a little more civility in this country and try to bring people together.
I agree with that, man. I mean, civil discourse, in my opinion, is good. That's something I've been talking about on this channel for a while. Civil discourse is good, even if we disagree, whether it's a friend or family. We should be able to sit down and talk about it and break bread together and it not turn into some, hostile argument. That should be the case. That used to be the case. And what we do know about Bill Maher has been one of Trump's, most harshest critics over the years. He has been. But recently, he's increasingly distanced himself from the radical, far left, progressive, woke elements, that, are really just running the country into the ground, or at least they were anyway. He's spoken out against cancel culture, this extreme gender ideology and the creeping insanity inside the Democrat Party. And he's, been punished for it. I mean, he's lost fans. He's taken a lot of heat from the left and basically found himself politically homeless. He has. And it's clear that Maher still identifies himself as an old school liberal, but he has made it equally clear that he has zero interest in riding the woke train to crazy town. And in fact, he said that if his parents, who are lifelong Kennedy Democrats, were still alive, they might not even recognize today's left, which is probably true. I mean, his father, a devout Irish Catholic Democrat, and his Jewish mother, proud and principled, would be stunned to see the left chanting for Hamas in the streets. Maher even joked that, if they were around today, they might even vote for Trump. That's what he said about his parents. That's how much the left has changed in the past few decades. So why did Maher go to the White House? According to him, it wasn't some, publicity stunt. It wasn't a political pivot. And, it was about, talking face to face, human to human, no shouting from opposite ends of the country, just a dialogue, just civil discourse. And whether you like Maher or not, obviously, on this channel, we've talked about him, on a multitude of occasions about some of the things that he said or some of the guests that he's had on his show. Whether you like him or not, you have to respect the fact that he was willing to go sit down, and break bread. You have to. And most Trump critics wouldn't be caught dead near the White House right now. They just wouldn't. They wouldn't even say the word Trump without needing therapy afterwards. We know a lot of these people, they suffer from wicked cases of Trump derangement syndrome. But Bill Maher, man, he showed up. He sat down. He talked. And that's more than we can say for 99% of the Trump deranged liberal cast that's out there. And in fact, Maher even admitted that while he still disagrees with Trump on many things, he respects Trump's strength and directness, even going so far as to call Trump one of the most effective politicians right now. Let's hear what he had to say.
Really interesting. Is one of the most effective politicians, whatever you think of the policy and him as a person, just as a politician, just understanding that always lean in to being more who you are. The people are not savvy about issues, but they smell a phony a mile away. And that kind of shit, nobody else does it. You know, there's a couple of times when, look, I've been his biggest critic for good reason. And when he got reelected, I said, I'm not going to pre-hate anything. And then the first week I said, well, there's lots of things I hate because I do. Okay, there's some things I don't hate also, but the way he can do that and sometimes kind of make me go, oh man, I got to give it up. Like when he did that thing where the guy came in from the Taliban and he said, this is an aerial picture of your house. If during our withdrawal, one American is hurt, just know I know where you live. I was like, oh, can we just play the music now? Because I don't care. It's Donald Trump and he's the worst person ever, blah, blah, blah. I fucking love that. One time they were doing something was going on with, and he said, you know what? When you come after New York, you got to go through me. It's like, oh, hometown boy. You know, he has those moments that no other politician has. And the Democrats have to find that guy.
The Democrats don't have that guy. And they'll never find that guy because the Democrats have chased real men out of the party. It's a party full of soy boys and limp wrist. They don't have men in that party like that. They don't. So sometimes Bill Maher gets it right. And when you look at the tariffs, you see why. But then, you know, he got an even a bigger issue. You know, the Democrats are running out of men who can lead with strength. They're running out of them. They're running off the real men. Their playbook seems to be, you know, nominate a woman, pair her with a docile, soft-spoken male figure, and hope it appeals to a woke voter base. That's their hope. And let's be honest, man, nobody's looking for a weak, apologetic man and an incompetent woman to run the country. I'm sorry, ladies, if that offends you, but nobody's looking for it. Nobody's checking for it. This past 4 years, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, man. It's as with Biden and Kamala Harris being this nation's face and representatives of this country, they were a complete embarrassment on the world stage. As someone who served this nation, who has my son serving this nation, my little cousin serving this nation, and the people that were supposed to be the commander in chief, they were piss poor representation of the United States of America. Nothing about them inspiring. Nothing about them decisive. And the voters felt it. The voters felt it. These people were complete embarrassments. And people got to understand, man, that the president, he ain't the end all be all, but he is the face of the nation, for sure. And the last thing you want is the person that is supposed to lead the party going out looking weak and docile. Or the person that they wanted to lead the party, who, when got on the world stage, deferred to a man. She gets asked a question, defers to a man. I'm talking about Kamala Harris here when she was doing a press conference with the leader from Poland. And I don't have a problem with a woman deferring to a man, but you can't act like you want to be the leader of the free world. You want to be the leader of the greatest, most powerful nation in the world, and you acting like that. Nah, it's not a good look.
They need a message, and then you find you find the messenger. No, but that's how it worked for Trump.
That's the worst thing. The Democrats always say, message, here a message. Yeah, first of all, they did, and they don't like it. Second of all, they don't give a shit. It's not about the message. Trump changes his message from day to day. Tariffs everywhere. Tariffs nowhere.
Those are policy
it doesn't
decisions.
matter. But they don't care about policy.
His
They
message-
don't understand it. His message is, I'm me, I'm strong, and I'm daddy. You know, they're on this daddy thing, you know, and people want a daddy. You know, Tucker Carlson, that whole thing, you've heard that thing about daddy came home and you need a spanking. And I'm like, this is getting a little weird, Mrs. Robinson. You know, daddy, but you know what? That's what works, and that's what people respond to. They don't know the issues. They don't know the facts.
I
And
agree.
they have no interest in learning about them. They're like an animal. They're instinctive. Like, I smell fear or I smell alpha. And they smell alpha. And Democrats have to come up with an alpha. And it's not Tim Walz.
No, probably not.
And it's not the other Tim who ran.
Kane?
Tim Kane. These are not alphas. It's like this thing of like, let's get a woman and then a docile man who's in every commercial where he's the asshole while mom takes care of business. You know, that's not a message that makes the tribe go, who is strong? Who's strong? Who's strong? Tim Walz. No. Give me rock. I need to kill myself because Tim Walz. You know, that you gotta appeal to people at a sort of post-civilization stage where we're kind of at on a primal level. You just do. And Trump does it better than anybody.
Trump does.
Again, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. What he's saying essentially, I mean, it's right on point. Trump is a dominant figure in every room. Love him or hate him, he's a lead. He leads. He is a leader. He makes the calls, takes the heat, and people respond to it. The reality of it is this. Majority of people, not just in this country or in the world, are looking to be led. Most people don't want to be leaders because most people don't want the responsibility of being a leader. Let's just keep it real. Most people don't want the responsibility that it takes in order to lead. That's why you hear a lot of people that they don't want to start companies because they don't want employees. They don't want to have to lead people. They don't want to have to make the tough decisions. They don't want to do it. I don't know if you guys recall this, but Bear Grylls had he had a show. You had men on one side of the island, women on the other side of the island, and they had to basically survive and get out there and kind of rough it. They had to get out there and rough it. The men immediately created a hierarchy. There was a leader, there was a second in charge. Everybody fell in line with what they could do, and they were off to the races building their society. The women sat around and wanted to make things, you know, some form of quote unquote, I guess, a meritocracy or everybody gets a say, and they didn't actually get anything accomplished. They didn't actually get anything accomplished. So the reality of it is, men, we understand our strengths and our weaknesses. And we also understand that, hey, when we need somebody to lead. Any of you guys that have played football, you always look to that guy, or any sport for that matter, you look to that guy that is going to be the guy when the game is on the line. No different than, when we're in the military. We're looking to the chief, we're looking to the captain, make that decision, what direction that we're going with this. People want to be led. People want to be led, and people are actually looking for strong leadership. And a lot of it has to do is that most people don't want the responsibility on their shoulders because they don't want the blame. Now, some people may want the kudos, they want the praise, but they don't want the blame when things don't go right. And the thing is that Trump has shown himself and proven himself to be a leader, not just, as a politician, but you could see it in his other businesses out there. And the people are responding to that. The people, they have responded to it. And Maher admits it. Now, people don't necessarily need a politician who can explain the policy down to the last decimal point. They don't. Matter of fact, most people would be bored with it. I mean, the news is reporting to most folks at about a 5th grade level. They're reporting and they're writing for the masses at about a 5th grade level. So I don't think people really care. People like myself, I'm one of those kind of people. I'm going to go do a little digging and research because I'm like that. But most people don't need a politician to explain everything down to the lowest common denominator. Most people, they're not looking for that. What they do want is someone who says that I got this, I'll protect you, and then they'll stand on it and they'll do it and they'll follow through. And that's what Trump does. That's what he has done. A lot of folks on the left, and honestly, I think it scared a lot of people on the right and those in the middle that there was a politician that actually ran on a platform and then got into office and started following through on those promises. This is weird. It's weird to a lot of people. It's weird. A lot of folks are used to people on the campaign trail saying anything to get elected and then getting into office. You don't hear from them and you don't hear anything about what they said that they were going to do. We actually got a guy that for 4 years told you this is what I'm going to do. He gets in there and do it. And some people are like, wait, hold up. He actually is doing what he said he was going to do. And it's a little weird to people because, it's not something that we're used to. And honestly, I mean, that is something that I don't think the Democrats have actually figured out. They're still operating, in the old way of doing things. They're still operating like that. And even when you look at them, they want to be led too. It's just being led to crazy town. Or as Vince Everett Ellison says, will you go to hell for me? In that situation, they're looking at it that way. They're leading these people straight to the pits of hell. And you got a lot of people willing to follow that foolishness as well. You do. You just do. Now I'm saying Bill Maher, he might not admit it fully. He might not. But it's clear that he sees the vacuum on the left. The party of Kennedy, the party of blue collar grit, it's turned into a theater of identity politics and social experiments. Masculine leadership is gone. They're not even interested in it. They don't want it. They're not interested in anybody that will come across as a strong leader on the left. They're not interested in that. The left, they want weak men. They want someone weak that will push the radical ideology. And they want someone who has a obsession with telling Americans not to believe their own eyes. They want that. And that's why, even though Maher still claims to support the Democrats, you get the sense that he's on the edge. Maybe not of becoming a Republican, maybe not becoming a full-fledged conservative, but I could easily see him saying, man, I'm done with these Democrats. I'm independent. I'm done. I'm independent. Because those people are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs over there. I can't do it. I just don't fit in over there anymore. He's basically already come out and said it. And maybe that's why the dinner mattered so much. Maybe it's not just about, civil discourse or civility. Maybe it's about watching someone take a step away from the tribe and say, let me hear what the other side has to say. Let me just listen. And the irony is that Maher once seen as a poster child for smug liberalism, might end up being a bridge, he might end up being a bridge, between the sane left and the America First right. Because the truth is, most Americans want strength. A lot of Americans have been embarrassed by the lack of strength showed from the previous administration, whether they would admit it out loud or not. They've been embarrassed. Americans want leadership. We used to puff our chests out about being the best and the baddest country in the world. We used to puff our chests out about that. I don't know about y'all, but I miss it. And I'm glad to see we're starting to get that bravado back. Most Americans want policies that put the United States first. And Trump has brought it back. He's brought that. And Democrats, meanwhile, they're stuck between, far left activists and weak-kneed moderates that are too scared to lead. And a lot of that fear, they're scared because they're afraid of being canceled. Even Gavin Newsom, which once upon a time probably was their best shot. I don't think he really has a shot now, but he once upon a time was his best shot, but he can't even escape, his own disastrous record out there in Cali. And the first time he actually comes out and says that, something sane, they came for his head. And he's taking flack from the left right now. And if that is the case, how is he going to stand toe to toe, with a JD Vance or, Byron Donalds or anybody else, on that side of things? How? So the big takeaway from this is this. From here is this. Bill Maher had a dinner with the president. That's the big take. He had dinner with the president. He still hadn't come out and said that, hey, I endorse or I believe, but he's at least willing to show that, hey, I'm willing to have some civil discourse with someone from the other side. That's all we can ask. He's realized and come to that realization, and he's told his audience that, the party that he once knew, and supported wholeheartedly is pretty much gone. The center left, it's vanishing. The party of the working class Americans is now the quote unquote party of climate cultists, TikTok influencers, and diversity officers. And in that vacuum, people are looking for strength, leadership, and vision. And you guys know, like I know, that there's no Democrat right now, out there that can bring that. There isn't. So a lot of those folks, man, they in a rock and a hard place right now. They are. They are in a rock and a hard place. But we'll see how it plays out. We'll see how it plays out. I know those on the left, man, they want to see the country fall. They want to see Trump fail. And the thing is that when they say, hey, we want Trump to fail, what they really mean is they want the country to fail. Shout out to Jorge. Is it Saavedra? Hopefully I'm pronouncing that properly. Joining the ARP family. Thank you very much. But I appreciate you guys pulling up as always, man. Keeping it lively in the chat. Shout out to the Blues. Shout out to T.A. Caskey, Zephyr, K9, Renee Suzanne. Appreciate you all, as always. Yeah, it's Good Tuesday, man. Good Tuesday. Overall, I think it was a pretty good show today. Maybe we can open it up. Let's open it up today for a little bit, man. Let some folks join the stream for a little bit, if you so choose. We'll try to do that for about 5 minutes today. When I have time, I'll try to incorporate this on a, day-to-day basis. Who told you to come downstairs, Kier? Goodness gracious. Don't come down here with all of that. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to open the chat, and as you can hear, my dog is barking for some reason. I'm not really sure why. Go back upstairs, Kier. Go. Scram. Get out of here. He come down here and he come down here, start cutting up. Dang, Kier. What's wrong with you? He don't want to get on the stream. He just I guess wants some I guess he just wants some attention, I guess. I don't know. A little bit of spotlight, I guess. I don't know. Oh, hold up. Give me a second, guys. I'm gonna throw this in the chat. All right, so yesterday, man, we had let me pin this up real quick. All right. We had a few people pull up. So I know Kenny, he wants his little 15 minutes. He's been on here a couple times, but for whatever reason, he don't really care for cameras like that. Yeah, I know. Well, he was up there with my wife, and he just ran downstairs, and the next thing you know, he just start cutting the fool. I don't know what's up with that, but I did put the link in the chat. If anybody would like to pull up, ask a question, or add anything to the chat, feel free to do so. Epiphany, I seen you yesterday once I was getting off of here, but if you got time, if you'd like to pull up, please do. Or anybody else for that matter. Shout out to EDH, man. He pulled up yesterday, man. A lot better yesterday than last week, which was awesome. But I appreciate you guys pulling up, man, and supporting the channels today. Definitely appreciate that. Are we gonna get anybody to pull up today? We'll see. We'll see who wants to jump on and take a couple of minutes. Uh-oh. Don't get yourself in no trouble, Epiphany. Don't do that. Don't get yourself in no trouble today. I don't want anybody making a video about you. Nah, EDH did good yesterday, man. He did good yesterday. All righty. No, he definitely did good. The more you do it, though, the better the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll get. What's up, Tyrone Rowe? How you doing, man? South Carolina present and accounted for. Appreciate you pulling up this morning, brother. Thank you very much. Eric Smith says, someday I might talk about something controversial. Yeah, but hey, we got to keep it. We got to keep it PC. We got to keep it PC for the daggone, for YouTube purposes. What's going on, Miss Epiphany? How you doing today, sister?
What's going on, Brother Wise? I'm just going to be like whispering and stuff, but go ahead. What you got for me? Throw some questions my way.
All right. So I guess my first question, why do you think no one from the left, everybody's complaining, everybody's got a complaint, but why do you think no one actually comes with any form of solution of their own that they can add, to this? Why do you think that's the case?
Well, first of all, you have to realize that in order for you to be on the left, a Democrat, liberal, progressive, you can't be a free thinker. You have to be kind of like willing to tote the party line and not think for yourself. So how could you come up with solutions? See, solutions come from those that are free thinkers. So how could you come with a solution when you're in a party that says you're not allowed to think for yourself? You're in a party that says, if you don't vote for me, you're not Black. You're in a party that says, just mindlessly march in the streets for whatever cause we tell you to. So it's just kind of par for the course that you're not going to have any solutions if you're in that party.
That is true. You're right. You're right. There's a young lady out there, Peyton Jackson. You know, she said, "I'm black, but not Democrat." You know, I really, really rock with that. I was like, man, somebody got to put that on a T-shirt.
I love that. I was saying that too. I thought I'm gonna grab that. See, I started to put that in the chat. I'm like, somebody gonna grab that idea. Let me hurry up and do the T-shirt before I announce it. Yes.
Yeah. I was like, oh man. So what are your thoughts, man? I mean, are you betting on Trump? Do you think that these you think the tariffs, do you think it's going to work? I mean, obviously we're starting to see it. We're starting to see it play out, you know, right before our eyes. But what are your thoughts?
See, my thing is, I always look at it this way, that Trump is over here playing chess while the rest of these people are playing checkers. They're crying over pawns on the board, but a true chess player understands there's strategy involved. And, you know, it's an old saying back in the day that was like, scared money can't make money, right? So in order for him to be a successful businessman that he's been all these years, you have to be willing to take risks. And he understands that when he's taking a risk, it's going to eventually pay off. But those that aren't used to business, they're just used to, I just show up to work, I clock in, and I don't know about taking a risk. I'm going to play it safe. You know, there's nothing wrong with that because that's what I'm doing right now. But anyway, they just show, they don't understand, like, business requires risk. You know, people on the stock market and different things like that, that's a risk you're taking because you could lose that money. Gamblers, different people like that, like, they have a different mindset. So a lot of people that are sitting back freaking out, it just kind of shows their mindset that they don't understand that this is like a card game or a chess game where, you know, you can't, it's like a poker face. You can't sit up there and be the way they're acting and behaving. Thank goodness they're not the leader. Thank goodness they're not in the presidency, because he has a strategy. You got to sit back and just kind of trust the process and see what happens. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. And I'm not like judging one way or another and saying, oh, it's going to go bad or it's going to go good. Just because it looks bad right now doesn't mean that it's not a strategy behind it that's going to turn out good later. And I believe isn't this what he did for the first term? Like, some of this was in place, not maybe to this extent, and probably it's getting more broadcast now, but like, how did our economy thrive so much in the first term? Like, he's doing some of the same things that he did back then, but you know, it's Trump, so they can't rock with him no matter what he does, even giving this cancer kid patient, you know, making him an FBI agent. Anything he does, they're just, it's the TDS. They can't help themselves. So even when it's something that, okay, this might work. This makes sense. Oh, you know, how are we going to generate the economy? How are we going to stimulate and generate income flowing into our country? We need to do something. Why is all these countries getting to rob us blind? You know, they can't think outside of, is Trump, orange man bad?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I've talked to people about these tariffs, and I'm like, we got to figure a way to increase revenue. There's only two ways to increase revenue for the country. We're either going to tax countries that want to do business in our nation, or we're going to raise taxes on the American people. And Lord knows we don't want any more of that. They're already taxing us into oblivion. It's already happening. Here in my state, they raised everything across the board out here in Maryland. Everything has gone up. So there's only two ways to do this, and we need the money. It's not like we're in a situation where, you know, we're sitting on a surplus. We have a $37 trillion deficit. We got to figure out how we're going to pay this and how we're going to get some money. And it can't be, let's just take more from the citizens. That just can't be the case.
Exactly. And it's funny because I have a firsthand experience of seeing the difference between Trump and Biden. When Trump was in office the first time around, I had a small business. I was thriving. I had actually multiple businesses. I had a t-shirt line, all these things I was doing along with my regular job. And when every time it was tax time, I would always get a nice size refund. Nice size. I'm talking about a few $1,000s, and this is with no children. Usually you have to have some kids and all these other things to get a refund. No, I was getting like $3,000 refunds with no kids, just working my business, because he had so many things in place that were in favor of small businesses, right? And like the taxes weren't like how they are. As soon as Biden came in there, every year now, since he's been in there, I've had to pay in the thousands of dollars back. All that money I got, I had to pay it back from my business,
Trust me, I know.
because the
Trust me, I
taxes
know.
all went up. So it's just kind of interesting when you see it firsthand in your own pocket. Like, oh, okay, this was a big difference, that he was actually in favor of the small business. He actually did things and put things in place that made it so we actually were making money back then. Whereas so everything dried up, and now it's like all this money you had to pay back, all these taxes that got raised, all this inflation, everything that just flipped on us when Biden stepped in there. So I'm just kind of excited to sit back and see what's gonna be. Granted that these activist judges don't block him too much. I believe that we can get back to a good place with everything that he's doing right now.
Well, I mean, once it gets to the Supreme Court, it seems like SCOTUS is supporting these moves. I don't know if you saw it, but it came out that Supreme Court is supporting these deportations. So I think that the Supreme Court, fortunately, with it being, conservative leaning, we know we got some crazy people up there in Ketanji Brown Jackson and things of that nature, but they don't have enough pull to really have a real say, in a nation like that. And, the highest office or the highest courts in the land, did basically kick the what do you call that? The that case in reference to
the deportations.
Yeah, the deportation. So that happened. So I'm happy about that. I do agree with you when it comes to the tax situation. Man, people had money during the first Trump administration. So many people were starting businesses. People were buying homes like it was nobody's business. Interest rates were crazy low. I don't know if we're ever going to see those types of interest rates again. I just don't know if we're ever going to see it again. Those of us that took advantage of it, we're doing okay. We're doing okay. But I'm also one of those kind of people that, like, I saw it, so I didn't go overboard during that time frame, and I didn't go crazy, because I'm like, if Trump loses, these people are going to try to reverse and overturn everything that he implemented, and that's exactly what they did. And what we know about Democrats, man, they are a enemy of small business. And for a long time, small business has been the backbone of this nation for a very, very long time in this country. And if I'm not mistaken, for a long time, and I think it has changed, but there was at a point to where, small business employed over 50% of Americans in this country. I don't know if that's still the case, but there was a time that was the case. Small business has always been the backbone. It had always been the backbone of this nation. We gotten away from it, and Trump wanted to bring it back, and he was doing that. And, these people, but like I said earlier, I am convinced that these people don't want to see people like you, myself, regular working class, regular middle class Americans. I don't think they want to see us win. I don't think they want to see us get ahead.
Definitely not. When you have like this Democrat leftist mindset, it's all about, equal, socialism, communism. They would be totally happy. I'm trying to remember what country was that. Was that Canada? Where was that, where they tried to implement they like kind of tested it out on some people. They didn't put it across the board, but they were like, they're going to give everybody like a stipend. And it was like $1,000 or something like that. And
universal income situation.
Yeah, there you go. That's their mindset. This is what they want. It's so crazy to me. Like, they think that, like, because they don't have the same motivation or innovation to like start a business, to generate something, to actually produce, to work. It's like, they have either regular working 9 to 5, or they're somewhere on their mama's couch in the basement. I don't know what they're doing, but they don't have the mindset of, like capitalism. Let's, start our own thing. Let's create something. Let's innovate. Let's produce. It's just like, okay, well, I see you over here producing, you're making money. I'm mad at that. I think that we all should have the same thing. So you go ahead and work, but let me have some of that. We all get the same income. This is pretty much communism, socialism. Everybody make the same thing, no matter how much you put in. And we all get the same pay from the government. We sit back and let the government be our daddy, and everybody gets the same thing, no matter what you, that's just insane to me, because first of all the people that are producers, where's the motivation for you to produce if you're not benefiting from your labor. It's just like with the tariffs. The reason why these businesses want to pull out, because why would you want to be in a country that's going to overtax your business and you're not going to be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor? I mean, I can go on. I don't know how much time I don't know how much time you have, and I'm on a little break I'm taking for work, but I could go on with this because this is the left. They don't understand economy. They don't understand business. They don't understand any of that. Like, they're like, oh, tax the rich. Okay, well, the rich is already paying their share when they're creating businesses and jobs. If Trump is sending out these tariffs and he tells the companies, if you come to the United States, then you don't have to pay the tariffs, right? Because your company's here. You're only getting these tariffs if you're in another country, right? So you come here, you bring your business. That business brings jobs. Those jobs employ people. That's stimulating our economy. That's keeping the money flowing. That's the tax that the rich is paying right there. They're paying their fair share.
It's not just that though. The other thing, people don't understand this, and I know this because I worked in the staffing world. Prior to doing this, I worked in corporate America for 15 years. It costs to have an employee. Every employee that you hire, not only does it cost you in the sense of wages, like you got to pay them and their benefits, but you also got to pay the government for their for having an employee. Most people don't know this because when you start, like if you own a small business and it's just you got to pay that small business tax. You got to pay that 14, 15%, that self-employment tax. You got to pay that. What people don't understand is that when you are an employer or employee, you pay half of it, and then the company pays the other half of that for you. People don't understand that it actually costs a company to hire people. And the last time I checked, people aren't in business to not make money. So they got to figure out a way that they can do what they need to do, take care of their employees, which people also may not understand that your employees, the labor force, it is the number one cost of every business out there. And that's a lot of the reason why they were okay with outsourcing those jobs to China, outsourcing them to Mexico. Yeah, we can do that when for that same job here, people are going to want $10, $15, $20 an hour, to where over there, they're paying these people 50 cents an hour. It's not even a contest. You know what I'm saying? And they're like, man, if we can cut the labor, I mean, you're still talking 50 cents an hour in comparison to $10 an hour. Let's just talk about that.
Exactly.
That is a major difference. That is a major difference. So, I mean, but the problem is that most people don't know it. And a lot of people want something for nothing. And unfortunately, the Peter pandemic did not help with that. If anything, it kind of exacerbated it because it made lazy people even lazier, unfortunately.
Yep, that's how it went. And, even with when you talk about the labor costs, like, I know certain individuals that they get a job and, they go through their training and it's like, I don't want that job, and go to the next job. I'm like, that's not right. You costing that employer that money that you spent on that training.
It costs an employer to pay to train you.
To train you, exactly. So even if they take another employee and they're using the employee to train you, well, guess what? That's slowing down business because that employee is not producing like they would be if they weren't training you. So it's just all these factors that people don't think about. They just show up to work every day and not think about how they're costing that employer money. And that employer is not motivated to stay in America and employ American workers when they can, like you said, go outside to a different country and pay less money and make an actual profit. People aren't in business to lose money. So it just doesn't make sense. But this is, again, if you're not a free thinker, you're on the left. You can't wrap your mind around these things. Tax the rich, pay my tuition. What is all the things that they want free? Give me free healthcare. Give me, all these things, and they don't understand, like, it's not that simple. Somebody's paying for it. Somebody's gonna pay for it.
Exactly. And the thing is that the wealthy, the wealthy and the middle class pays majority of the taxes. Whether you're, from from lower to upper middle class and the wealthy, they pay the majority of the taxes. Poor people don't pay taxes. You're not paying into the system. You're not keeping the system running. Last time I checked, poor people don't own homes like that. So you're not paying property tax. Y'all are not paying into the system.
Yeah.
So I just don't get it. I don't understand that. But again, it's crazy to me how all these politicians, you got the AOCs out there worth millions and millions of dollars talking about we need to tax people more. I mean, let's check out your daggone tax returns. See how much money you paying.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I think they're banking on the fact like, oh, I'm a public servant, so it wouldn't apply to us. That's what I think that really is in their mind. That too.
I mean, they're really banking on the ignorance of the people and of their party. Most of the people that follow the Democrat Party, they might be educated and really and truly, they're probably more or less indoctrinated, but they're not necessarily that intelligent. So, a lot of it is just ignorance. They just don't know. I mean, you had college educated people that didn't know what the term reciprocal mean. You know what I'm saying? So, which is sad, which also just goes to show you, how bad of a place we are from an education and academic perspective in this nation, because you have college educated people that didn't know what the term reciprocal meant. I mean,
well, what about the what was that? The mule? What was it? Coyotes? When back in the first term, when they all didn't know what a coyote was.
Yeah.
That when they were transporting the migrants, they were
illegal immigrants. Yeah.
They were like, coyote was when Trump was on the campaign. So it was a lot of things like that come out and just shows like Americans. The level where we are educationally and everything, we're just not where we used to be. And I think you mentioned that earlier, like, it used to be a time where we were so proud to be Americans and it meant something to be an American. And it's like now, look where we've fallen from. It's so again, I'm just kind of excited to see what all the moves and the plans and the executive orders that Trump is doing and the tariffs and everything else. Like if you just sit back, give it time, because look what he came into, look what he inherited. He's trying to undo all this inflation and the debt and the deficit. It's all this that he's kind of swimming upstream a little bit. So, them expecting within 100 days that, everything is just going to go smoothly is not really realistic.
No, it's not. But the one beautiful thing, though, is he doesn't have to worry about running another term. And that way he can take all the blame. He can take all the heat while he's implementing these tariffs and shutting down the border and all of that, getting rid of these, criminal illegal immigrants that are in this nation. He can take all the heat. And the next person that's running, which it probably will be JD Vance, but we'll see, who that is, come 27, 28 timeframe. We'll see who, kind of stands out. But they won't really have to worry about taking the heat from what he does. And that's why he's full speed ahead right now. Full speed ahead. And to be honest with you, I'm not even going to lie to you. It feels like he's been in office as much as he's implemented and accomplished already. It feels like he's been in office already for a year. And it's barely been 3 months.
Exactly. Wait, did you see it was like another, I forget who said this in some interview, and they were saying, like, I guess they were a Democrat, they were on the other side, but they said, wow, like when you saw, was it Charlemagne the fraud? I can't remember. He said,
that was him. He said, that was Charlemagne.
When you seen like all these other presidents and stuff, like you see Trump come out on the stage like first day one, and he's signing executive orders. He's like, wait a minute. All of them could have been doing that and nobody did that, but he just got to work like right day one. And it was at the inauguration or something. He had the desk up there.
Day one inauguration day.
He came out swinging. Gate open. He was like, hit the track running. I was like, go Trump. That's what's up. That is good. That's good stuff.
And that's the thing, so I think, when this works, they're not going to give him his props. They're just going to move on to the next thing to scare and fearmonger folks about. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So they're not going to give him his props. You already know that.
Exactly.
They're not. They're just going to move on. Like, this is going to work. Gas prices are already coming down. Food prices are coming down. It's all of this stuff is happening. People thought that he was just going to be able to come in, snap fingers, flip a switch, and all of a sudden everything's going to be cheaper than it was a month ago. But it's a process.
No. Yeah, exactly. I said that before he got in. I said, it's going to take him a minute. I said, people are looking. I think I did something like a video or something. I was like, it's going to take him a minute. People are going to be looking, for like miracles to happen. But look what he's going into. This inflation is insane. He's going to have a lot of work to do. It's not going to go just so smoothly. He just gets in there and everything happens. And he's thinking again free thinking, critical thinking person can understand that yeah, you're not going to go in and just undo everything that this man did, even though it seemed like it's easier to undo the good stuff than it is to now undo the bad stuff. Because when Biden went in there, he came in and undid a lot of great stuff that Trump had put in place with pipeline and everything else. So yeah, sometimes it's easier. It's easier. Somebody said before, it's if you're standing on a ledge, it's easier for somebody to pull you down than it is to pull them back up. So it's easier to bring something down than it is to pull something back out of the rut that it's in. So that's just how
I mean,
it is.
it's like tearing your credit up. You know, it's like putting yourself in debt. It don't take much to do that, but when you start trying to dig yourself out that hole, it takes a little bit. It's not an overnight thing unless you just, you know, come into a windfall of money and you can just pay everything off. But most of us, that's not the case. So it takes a little bit and it's going to hurt a little bit. It's going to be a little painful. You're going to have to, you know, cut out some things. You're going to have to make some sacrifices on some things that you used to love to do until you get that situation rectified. And that's what we're dealing with. And I was talking about this last year. You got to think about the country like a large ship. When that large ship goes to start turning, it doesn't just turn on a dime. It's a slow process to turn around. If you turn it on a dime, it's going to flip over. So it's a slow process for a ship to turn. And that's what we are here in the United States. We are a large ship. Think of it as an aircraft carrier, cruise liner, whatever you want to think of it as. And just think of it like, hey, we're doing the right things, but it's a process for it to turn and get it pointed in the right direction. It's not, you know, just you turn like it's your car. Just think of it as like a large aircraft carrier or cruise liner out there. It takes a little bit, but it's happening and we can see it. All right, Epiphany. Well, I'm going to get out of here, but I appreciate you pulling up this morning. Thank you very much. As always, appreciate you supporting the channel as well.
No problems. Bye, everybody. Have a good day. I got to get back to my regular job after Biden made me lose my small business. Bye.
Take care. Shout out to Epiphany Tanya. Thank you very much for pulling up today, man. And shout out to D. Maria joining the ARP family membership. Thank you very much, sister. I appreciate you supporting the channel. Thank you very much for supporting me. God bless you, man. Thank you very much. Yeah, man. Y'all show Epiphany. I'm sure her channel link has been kind of floating in the chat. Y'all make sure y'all go over there and give her a sub. Go check out some of her videos. Make sure you like those videos. But I appreciate you all pulling up. Shout out to the Blues, Zephyr K9, Renee Suzanne, T.A. Caskey, B. Appreciate you guys keeping things peaceful in the chat. Shout out to everybody that supported the channel today financially. Appreciate you guys. Thank you very much, man. God bless each and every one of you all. Appreciate you all. I'm going to catch up with you all later. Keep God first. Stay prayed up. It is crazy out here in these streets. And we'll catch up with you all tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Peace, y'all.
Vibes so